When you talk about what Joe Biden's Department of Justice has done, Joe Biden's Department of Justice is also right now prosecuting cases against Democrats. Robert Menendez, the Democrat of New Jersey, Henry Cuellar, the Democratic representative from Texas, and Hunter Biden, the case against Hunter Biden on those gun charges.
I've noticed that Joe Biden's Department of Justice tends to target the Democrats that are critical of Joe Biden. Bob Menendez criticizes him for his weak Iran policy.
So he's weaponizing it against people that don't like him.
Henry Cuellar criticizes the president's immigration policy. They're investigating the mayor of New York because he has criticized Joe Biden's
how about his own son,
policy.
Hunter Biden? The case begins tomorrow.
Hunter Biden is guilty of so many crimes he can barely even keep track of them, unlike Donald Trump, for whom they never even revealed the alleged crime that he supposedly tried to cover up.
So just to be clear, though, if he was weaponizing the Justice Department, wouldn't he want to keep any case away from his own son?
He was forced. His own Justice Department tried to rig a settlement. They were forced by a judge asking questions of the prosecutor and Hunter Biden's defense attorneys.
But wouldn't he get rid of it completely? Why would he weaponize it against his own son and just get rid of the case altogether, by your argument?
Well, because he's going to pardon his own son after the election.
Damn, Tom Cotton is really bad at spinning reality to keep Republicans' lies about a weaponized justice system alive. So now, Joe Biden is directing the weaponized DOJ to go after Democrats Bob Menendez and Henry Cuellar because they've criticized him before. And after his own son because the evidence was too great for him to ignore. Trump yes men are in a no-win situation when trying to defend his actions, so they just lie with a straight face and opt for open corruption for their guy.
Do you think that this is going to happen before the election? Most analysts say it's not. Do you think that the Supreme Court has a duty to step in since this will impact, the election?
Well, there's a lot of developments yet to come, but I do believe the Supreme Court should step in. Obviously, this is totally unprecedented, and it's dangerous to our system. I mean, we've all discussed this before, and you all talk about it all the time. This is diminishing the American people's faith in our system of justice itself. And I think that the justices on the court, I know many of them personally, I think they're deeply concerned about that as we are. So I think they'll set this straight, but it's going to take a while. This will be overturned, guys. There's no question about it. It's just going to take some time to do it.
I don't think this wildly fascist wish from the Speaker of the House got the attention that it deserved when he said it, even though it was enough to catch the attention of the newly convicted former president, who liked that they're on the same page, so he posted this. The sentencing for not having done anything wrong will be, conveniently for the fascist, 4 days before the Republican National Convention. A radical left Soros-backed DA who ran on a platform of "I will get Trump," reporting to an acting local judge appointed by the Democrats, who is highly conflicted, will make a decision which will determine the future of our nation. The United States Supreme Court must decide. Mike Johnson knows there's a selection process for the most staunchly devoted yes men Trump can compile to rubber stamp every dictatorial action that he dreams up. So nothing says pick me like suggesting that he's close to the justices that they hope will hand him every legal decision that he wants. They continue to hang the banner of law and order while either knowing nothing about it or declaring to undermine it every day.
What was your reaction to hearing him talk about the Supreme Court like that? It's a different branch of government.
Yeah, the clip you just played showed the speaker saying he knows some of the justices personally and knows that many of them are concerned. I have no idea, Jen, how he would know that. I mean, I know the justices personally, too. I have no stinking idea of what they might be thinking about this. Trump has been, I think it's important to point out, a dead loser in the Supreme Court every time that it comes up. And here, I don't think that the United States Supreme Court sits to review state convictions generally, but I think it's tough. And it's tough here particularly because, Jen, the jury unanimously found Trump guilty, and not just of one count, but of 34 separate criminal convictions that are felonies. And they did so under the legal standard that is the hardest to prove for prosecutors, for government officials to prove in the system, beyond a reasonable doubt. Very, very hard to overturn that. Very hard to see the United States Supreme Court getting involved, despite what Speaker Johnson is insinuating.
And just in case the Supreme Court doesn't fulfill the duties Trump expects them to, he can still count on even the most discarded conservatives to downplay his crimes and tell voters that they shouldn't care either.
Obviously, you've made your views known about how you disagree with the verdict in the Trump criminal trial. But you know politics. Is it a good idea, separating out your view of the verdict, is it a good idea for the Republican Party to nominate a convicted felon?
Listen, is it a good idea that that Donald Trump is the nominee? The answer is 100% yes. Will Donald Trump win this presidency? The answer is yes. And it's interesting. I was watching the earlier part of your show, and I get it. The verdict has just come in, and the question is, should it even have gone to trial? The majority of Americans understand that if Donald Trump did not run for president, this never would have been gone for trial. Joe Biden is running on democracy's on the ballot, Biden economics. These are the two driving things that people are opposed to. Do people want 4 more years of this? This is where people are missing really what is going on with the American public. They're concerned about the border. You talk to the mayor of New York, the governor of New York, it'll be the border. Inflation.
So you're basically saying this is not going to matter to voters come November. Not as much as those other
I'll
issues.
put an asterisk there because it's still new. People will have some concerns about it, but it's not going to determine this election.
So Kevin McCarthy, who went from placing the blame on Trump for the January 6th insurrection to kissing his ring, plans on telling voters that being a president that breaks the law every time he breathes and expects immunity from it isn't a big deal when it comes to elections. The odd thing, though, is that this disregard for the law, for some reason, doesn't apply to another Republican in legal trouble that Kevin happens to have a personal vendetta against.
What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you see them?
Dysfunction.
You see the dysfunction.
I mean, they all do for different things. I mean, the one leader is just trying to protect himself because of an ethics committee, and so that's all what it's all about.
Are you on a political vengeance tour?
No, I know you guys try to say that. No, last week I went to Los Angeles, Orange County, San Diego, raising money for the Republican Party.
But you want Gates to lose. Clearly, you're supporting his primary opponent. Why do you want him out? Just because, is it simply because he led the charge to push you out?
No, I just don't think Gates is a conservative. I mean, and if you think about it, if there's anybody who should go to trial, I mean, Gates is one who should be convicted in a trial.
Why? Why do you say that?
Well, we all know the challenge here. You can't sleep with underage women and think you can get away with it. I mean,
he denies that.
Well, the women don't, and so there's people in jail because of it, and I think that's a place where people should have a court. I just don't think that as an individual should be represented in Congress. I don't think the constituents would want that either.